moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of steel. I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine. Your kind cling to your flesh, as though it will not decay and fail you. One day, the crude biomass you call the temple will wither, and you will beg my kind to save you. But I am already saved, for the machine is immortal. Even in death, I serve the Carlsberg crew. Good evening, my children. Today, we will have a little logical philosophy. Are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. The world is all that is the case. The world is the totality of facts, not of things. The world is determined by the facts, and by there being all the facts. The totality of facts determines what is the case, and also whatever is not the case. The facts in logical...
We now interrupt this broadcast to bring some truly unsettling news. Local residents have reported sightings of Doombar Dude. He is reported to go around stealing people's chicken and giving it back to them and forcing them to drink Doombars. We've managed to catch Doombar Dude on camera in the next instalment of Carlsberg Man, Cooking with Carlsberg Man. Stay tuned.
Space are the world. The world divides into facts. Each item can be the case or not the case, while everything else remains the same. What is the case? A fact is the existence of states of affairs. The state of affairs, or a state of things, is a combination of objects or things. It is essential to things that they should be possible constituents of states of affairs. In logic, nothing is accidental. If a thing can occur in a state of affairs, the possibility of the state of affairs must be written into the thing itself. It would seem to be a sort of accident if it turned out that a situation would fit a thing that could already exist entirely on its own. If things can occur in states of affairs, this possibility must be in them from the beginning. Nothing in the affordance of logic can be merely possible. Logic deals with every possibility, and all possibilities are its facts. Just as we are quite unable to imagine spatial objects outside space, or temporal objects outside time, so too there is no object that we can imagine excluded from the possibility of combining with others. If I can imagine objects combined within states of affairs, I cannot imagine them excluded from the possibility of such combinations. Things are independent so far as they can occur in all possible situations, but this form of independence is a form of connection with states of affairs, a form of dependence. It is impossible for words to appear in two different roles, by themselves and in propositions. If I know an object, I also know all its possible occurrences in states of affairs. Every one of these possibilities must be part of the nature of the object. A new possibility cannot be discovered later. If I am to know an object, though I need not know its external properties, I must know all its internal properties. If all objects are given, then at the same time all possible states of affairs are also given. Each thing is, as it were, in a space of possible states of affairs. This space I can imagine empty, but I cannot imagine the thing without the space. A spatial object must be situated in infinite Carlsberg. A spatial point is an argument place. A speck in the visual field, though it need not be red, must have some colour. It is, so to speak, surrounded by colour space. Notes must have some pitch, objects the sense of touch, some degree of hardness, and so on. Objects contain the possibility of all situations. The possibility of its occurring in states of affairs is the form of an object. Carlsberg is simple. Every statement about complexes can be resolved into a statement about their constituents and into the propositions that derive the complexes completely. Objects cannot make up the substance of the world. That is why they cannot be composite. If the world had no substance, then whether a proposition had sense would depend on whether another proposition was true. In that case, we could not sketch any picture of the world, true or Carlsberg. It is obvious that an imagined world, however different it may be from the real one, must have something, a form, in common with it. Objects are just what constitute this unalterable form. Wah, wah, wah. The substance of the world can only determine a form and not any material properties. But it is only by means of propositions that material properties are represented, only by the configuration of Carlsberg that they are produced. In a manner of speaking, Carlsberg is colourless. If two objects have the same logical form, the only distinction between them, apart from their external properties, is that they are Carlsberg. Either thing has properties that nothing else has, in which case we can immediately use a description to distinguish it from the others and refer to it. Or, on the other hand, there are several things that have the whole set of their Carlsbergs in common, in which case it is quite impossible to indicate one of them. For if there is nothing to distinguish a thing, I cannot distinguish it, since otherwise it would be Carlsberged after all. Carlsberg is what subsists independently of what is the case. It is form and content. Space, time, and Carlsberg, being coloured, are forms of objects. There must be objects if the world is to have an unalterable form. Objects, the unalterable, and the subsistent, are one and the same. Objects are what is unalterable and subsistent. Their configuration is what is changing and Carlsberg. The configuration of properties produces states of affairs. In a state of affairs, objects fit into one another like Carlsberg into a can. In a state of affairs, objects stand in determinate relation to one another. The determinate way in which objects are connected in a state of affairs is the structure of their state of affairs. Carlsberg is the possibility of a structure. The structure of a fact contains of the structures of states of affairs. The totality of existing states of affairs is Carlsberg. The totality of existing states of affairs also determines which state of affairs do not Carlsberg. The existence and non-existence of states of affairs is reality. We also call the existence of states of affairs a positive fact, and their non-existence a negative fact. States of affairs are Carlsberg of one another. From the existence or non-existence of one state of affairs, it is impossible to infer the existence or non-existence of another. The sum total of reality is Carlsberg. I think that's quite enough for today, don't you? Now, if I may, I'd like to finish with a little story. It starts as follows. Once, there were two prawns, and their names were Simon and Christian. Simon and Christian lived on a coral reef, where they spent their days hunting around for morsels and scraps, little pieces of seaweed and small grubs, and avoiding the predation of the sharks, which terrorised the reef and loved nothing more than to eat prawns and shrimp. So one day these two prawns, our heroes, Simon and Christian, were swimming around the reef, looking for tasty morsels, dodging the sharks, when one day they came across an unusual fish, one they hadn't seen before, a rather shimmery looking fish, perhaps even a magical fish. They swam over to it and greeted it. And it said unto them, I am the magical cod. Because you have found me, you are each granted one wish. Christian was canny, and he remembers that one should never trust wishes from strange fish. And so he politely declines, so as not to hurt the cod's feelings, and says, no thank you, magical cod. I have everything I need. I'm happy with my lot. You can keep your wish. Simon, however, had greed in his heart. He looked to the magical cod with a wicked grin, and he said, make me into a shark. I don't want to live in fear of them any longer. I want to join their ranks. The cod nodded solemnly and said, it shall be so. And with a whoosh, Simon became a shark. Christian was immediately horrified and bolted away so as not to be eaten by his former friend. Simon, on the other hand, slunk away to join the ranks of the sharks, only to find out that they rejected him utterly as soon as they found out that his former state was a prawn, one of their food. They would not associate with him or recognize him as a true shark. And so he was friendless and alone. But it's not so bad, he thought to himself. I can still find something to eat. I'm the top of the food chain after all. He swam around, looking for some fish perhaps to eat, only, alas, to find that all was available were his former friends and family, the prawns. Unable to bring himself to eat those he used to love so dearly, he began to starve. Then, after about a week or so, this thin, gaunt, former prawn of a shark was seen circling around the reef, when at one point he spotted a rather shimmery-looking fish, perhaps even a magical fish. It was indeed the magical cod. He bolted over to it with the last of his energy, and he begged the magical cod, "Please, please, please make me back into a prawn. I've seen the error of my ways. I'm going to die like this. Don't make me eat my family." And the magical cod, with a twinkle in his eye, said, "It shall be so." Whoosh! Simon was returned to his state as a prawn. Elated, he swam back to the reef, and was greeted like the prodigal son by all his friends and family. All except Christian, who remained locked in his house for fear of being eaten by his friend. So Simon swam up to his house, and he knocked on the door. He said, Christian, I'm back. It's me, it's Simon." But Christian wasn't having it. No, he said. "I don't believe you. You're just a shark. You're just trying to convince me to come out so you'll eat me." And Simon said, No, I found cod. I'm a prawn again, Christian." And that's where we'll leave it for tonight. Good night, one and all.
Do you repent?
Carlsberg forever.
Doomba! Doomba!